Rob Tague, Managing Director in Transaction Services for Grant Thornton. Nice to see you at Intergrowth 2017.
Thank you, nice to be here.
We're going to focus on working capital, always a good thing to have. It's even better to know the right way to deploy it. So when you think about best utilizing working capital to actually create value, how do you approach that?
Yeah, so a lot of companies or owners will actually look at really extending terms with customers, bringing in cash earlier from accounts receivable and their customers, and then they'll focus on inventory, how to reduce inventory. I think one important aspect is to look at a number of different drivers of those categories. It's going to be policy and procedures, it's the culture of the organization, and then tools, which primarily relates to IT infrastructure, software applications, etc.
Where do you see a deficit among those items that you mentioned when you're working with clients?
So we will see them in all categories. Typically, accounts receivable, accounts payable are easiest because all you do is ask for money earlier or don't pay your vendors. I think the more challenging category is inventory. So how do you analyze your inventory? How do you decide when to order new product? How do you make sure you have efficient levels of inventory, which goes back to your longer term product population, and how do you drive revenue?
Hasn't technology helped somewhat with the inventory question?
Absolutely. I think with larger companies, they have more assets available, so they can have cutting edge technology for different software applications to analyze inventory. I think when you go to the middle market, some of those companies, family owned, growing, getting larger over time, they have older tools available, so it really becomes an exercise of when do you invest in the infrastructure, and if you can't yet spend the money or have the ability to have that higher level of sophistication, what can you do today and how do you approach it?
And what are the performance targets that you would set when you are looking at redeploying some of that working capital? How quickly do you want to hit those targets?
So we look for pretty quick realization of that. So again, accounts payable, accounts receivable, it's almost instantaneous as soon as you take action. Inventory can be a little more strategic and longer term. So there will be some analysis up front, and then we'll go to other viewpoints such as SKU rationalization, which will look to streamline inventory but also drive revenues higher. And I think the largest factor as you look at working capital is how do you free up liquidity, but then what do you do with that liquidity? So by having a heavy focus on working capital improvement and efficiencies, you can drive additional free dollars, which you then can deploy into strategic growth of your business.
So you actually perhaps create even more value than you first off set to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people look at just freeing up dollars, which is achievable very quickly. What we try to do is talk longer term. So what's the growth story, and how can you get your policies, procedures, and tools to a point where you can free up cash, so then you can drive other initiatives within the business.
Rob Tague, so nice to talk to you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.